Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Love and Action Show with me, Al Pisoni. What a time to be alive. The energies are intense. So many shifts in the collective consciousness. The twists and turns in everybody's lives has been so epic and so crazy at the other end of the spectrum. And if you've been listening to my previous show, we're navigating through some very, very powerful times. And if we have to realize these are great times to be alive, there's a lot of personal things that are going on with us individually that are leveling us up at a collective level where there's a renewed sense of hope, faith, having gone through some tumultuous times. And I'm speaking to many people, both off screen and on screen. And this is the sort of recurring topic that has been evident acutely, especially over the last 6 months. Today, I'm joined by a very good friend who has been an inspiration to me in so many levels off screen. We've had a couple of shows where we have had conversations about the esoteric realm and spiritual discussions, which have been very powerful, and the feedback has been amazing. And today I am so happy to reconnect with her to embark on conversations pertinent to the esoteric and spiritual realm. She has immense knowledge, and I suggest you go on all the links below and follow her, because you'll get something. And even if it's a nugget of wisdom or something that will shift you and propel you in a direction that's needed for you, you will. And Emily will give that. I'm going to embarrass her as well, but there was an incident in my life in May last year and January acutely, where she could see into some of the situations that I'd been going on. And there were nuggets of wisdom that she could just, as we say, download, or whatever word you want to say. And I still remember them till today. And I'm so blessed, Emily, to have you back on the Love in Action show, because it was pretty much in action. How are you?
Thank you so much. It's amazing to be here. It's crazy as you're talking, I can actually feel your guardian team. Your guardian team is extremely present because there's like this aqua sapphire blue orb that's coming through so strongly, and I can feel the presence of them. So I feel it's like a Syrian consciousness and like an Elohim angelic Blu-ray consciousness. So that's really
Wow.
amazing. Um, yeah, I'm doing really good. What I want to start by saying is that, yeah, this is an incredible time to be alive. And while there are many spiritual breakthroughs, I personally feel like this is the hardest part of Ascension. I'm just going to say that. We see some people living their best life, and a lot of us are feeling super persecuted. We're going through loss. We're going through being pummeled, being attacked, being slandered, having our characters assassinated by people. A lot of us are going through that because we are on the precipice of something massive, and we all feel it on a soul level. But I personally want to say this is the hardest part of Ascension, period. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And I just wanted to take you to the light, the blue light that you just mentioned, because about a week ago, a friend of mine has got this system. She does a lot of all this sound healing, and she's gone from corporate to becoming a healer herself. And she does earth acupuncture and all sorts. And she goes, I have to do your aura reading. And she goes, you're nothing but this blue indigo light. And she just went through my whole aura, and where she could see some sort of tears and things like that. So the fact that you said that just sort of is synonymous with what I was told about a week ago. And pertinent to what you've just said, this is the hardest part. And you and I have had conversations off screen where, I'm saying that at this moment, and I'm saying that this is the greatest time to be alive through this persecution energy, through these attacks, through the slander, because these 6 months, as you know, what I've been publicly exposed through the craziness, I don't want to give energy to the names involved. I literally am saying this. I was suicidal, right? Like it was horrific. And it's been little episodes like this in these 4 years where that's happened. But it's taken me on the most powerful inward journey, which has been necessary to the growth through the courageous path of tackling it head on inwardly. So I absolutely understand that you, as someone, as you know, a leader in the forefront of this spiritual war, with what you've gone through and your experiences and your initiations, I can only but imagine how heavy that must also feel for you, because people sometimes think, oh, healers just know everything and they're spared from it all. Heck no.
No, not at all. Um, yeah, I watched you go through some of that stuff, and it was awful to watch and experience. And I just want to take a moment to just rebuke that consciousness. It has no place, here. And yeah, I just rebuke those lies, those demonic projections onto you, onto me, because they're meant to take us down. I call it the takedown of Sophia. So when I explain that, as feminine vessels, we're rehabilitating a consciousness called the solar Sophia, the feminine Christ energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the female principle of God, the Holy Spirit of God. We are embodying this spirit. And there is this misogynistic energy, and it wants to destroy the innocence and the feminine within all people, right? Within men and women. And so they've been trying to do this takedown of that innocent feminine light that is wanted to nourish and love and support and lift up. And there's been so many moments for me in the past 6 months where, yeah, just that projection, something comes at me sideways. I hear someone saying something about me, someone makes a post for me, whatever it is. And yeah, I've had to go through a lot of transmutation, a lot of inward processing. Is that true about me? Should I look deeper? Is there something wrong? And that's the demonic projection. Something's wrong with us. Something's bad about us. We deserve to be shamed. And that's a lie. And so, today I just wanted to really bring that forward, is this going beyond this trauma drama field of persecution
Yes.
and resurrecting that Sophianic, that feminine Christ spirit, regardless of that takedown energy that's been coming at us. So I know you've experienced it. I've experienced it in my own ways, but I watched that happen. And yeah, I feel like that timeline though is phasing out. I do. Like, I feel like we're on to a new thing where that's going to get quiet, like where those words and those people are just going to be like quieted by spirit. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, and I'm witnessing that, and I think I've always been like, where energy goes, it grows, and I feel that I was taken off the whole truther, or so-called truther, circuit back in 2021 to pursue my mission here to help the autistic community with my beautiful business Ari, that got persecuted in the middle, used as a pawn. But crisis has a blessing. And that when you can really choose to see the silver lining in everything that is happening to you, for you to get empowered, to elevate and evolve, you'll see that silver lining. So yes, there were days where I was just like, I just have lost the will. I've lost the will. And I have had a breakup, and that too publicly. It was done in the most horrific way. And for me, energetically, and it was something that minimized me at my spirit and at every core of my psychological makeup. Something was sucked out of me in these 3 years, and I was afraid to show up, to be seen. And one of the things that was really driving me insane was the comedy was just not there. And I thrive off, like, we have this British dry sense of humor, and I've grown up through all my trials and tribulations. I can just look at something and suddenly I will just burst out with something like comical. And maybe that was my coping mechanism, or that's just my natural demeanor. And in all of that, something shifted. There was a breakthrough moment that I had where I felt this shift, as what you've just explained, that the feminines who have been persecuted, that have been completely subjected to this slander, whether it's on screen, off screen, there's a running theme. And the absolute divine warriors that are there, that are energetically powerful. And not everything is about social media or expression. I get that. There are divine warriors that I see out there at grassroots doing some hectic stuff. And I applaud them. You know, they're like I'm inspired by these women. I'm inspired by divine goddesses that like have helped me to kind of resurrect like from the ashes and whatever puddles or ashes that I was in. But I get that energy is shifting. So we are here to calibrate, recalibrate ourselves and get into that synthesis and that balance. So while the victim victimizer programming has been so acute, I can look at it observationally and not absorb it anymore. But I had to go into the deep root of that pain. And I'm still working it. I'm still a work in progress. But I was at this wedding yesterday and I don't know. I was on the dance floor, Emily, and I love dancing and I love a little bit of singing and I love a little bit of connection with everybody and joking around with my aunties. And something was just something, this energy that you said at the beginning. You see, folks, you know, she's very perceptive. It was blue. The theme was blue everywhere. And it was just symbolic of what you said and the vibrations that I am feeling and cultivating towards, because it's tough. There's a lot of women out there that are struggling, and men, the divine masculine and feminine within us as well. Yeah, I understand that. And coming through the other end, it's almost like the mission is being resurrected, but reignited with that new clean energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, as I feel into this, like you said, going into the core, the origin points of this pain, I go back to the breeding programs with the Anunnaki, where the feminine womb was targeted, right? Originally, the sacral chakra is the most targeted chakra on the
Right.
planet because it connects to, it's like a stargate, right? The womb is a stargate. It brings energy in, it sends energy out, right? So I go back to those breeding programs with the Anunnaki where the feminine has been enslaved and there's been a consciousness that is living off of our core womb trauma. And when we take back our sacral, when we really take it back from that predator consciousness, from that fallen masculine consciousness that works in certain men and in society, when we take that back, we actually really take our power back. That's a huge part of the liberation. And the reason why I'm focusing a lot on the feminine consciousness in everybody is because that's what I'm seeing, is that there's a war on this specific frequency rising. They'll do anything to not allow it. So when you're talking about being at the wedding and dancing in this blue light resurrection in your light body, I'm feeling that power being taken back through the womb, that, you know, you won't be exploited and you won't be silenced and you won't. And that's the thing, is that they want to silence us. They want nothing more than for us to say, I give up, you win, right? And listen, they can win the little battles, but they're not going to win the ultimate war. And so that's why just being here today, after everything you've gone through, talking about this, it's so nourishing for both of us and anyone that hears this transmission. Because, like you said, this is the resurrection point. But we've been in like it's like a crucifixion overlay,
Yeah.
right? Where we're crucified in our power.
Yeah. And in
Yeah.
every way. And
Yes.
maybe you can sort of shed some more insights into this persecution. So, for example, I've heard, and also on off my own experiences and things that have happened to me from many women that have gone through sudden ghosting of relationships. And I'm not just talking romantic. There's just a complete ghost of friendships, and in the most bizarre way. And I've just heard some recent stories, which really I felt for this lady that when she was telling me her story. And it was completely confusing for her. It's like, what did I do wrong? How did this happen? What is going on? And this unseen warfare that people may not or may be well versed on is the greatest war that's taking place on humanity at the moment, or the most prominent, the unseen spiritual warfare amongst this egotistical, geopolitical, and information psychological plane. But what is your insights into this persecution that's happening with things like this, where they're attacking and women a lot, and men, because the divine feminine, again, just reiterate, that resides in us, and they're just going for it and targeting it in these very traumatic ways.
Yeah. So I call this the trauma drama fields, right? It's the severing, the separating. And it's a strategy called divide and conquer, right? So dividing and conquering people, especially in the spiritual community, and isolating them, right? So these are war tactics that come from a predator consciousness, reptilian consciousness, that is an antichrist, an anti-source being. So essentially, the persecution, I was talking about that crucifixion energy, it's a way of isolating and conquering that person so that they feel that there's no lifeline, right?
Right.
And that's the thing, is that you don't feel like you have a lifeline. And like you said, the ghosting, being ghosted, being rejected, being abandoned. That's very deep. There's a lot I could say about that. But what I'm going to say is this: what truly belongs to you belongs to you. And what doesn't, doesn't. And I always say, you know, validation is the ugly cousin of love, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All,
I like that. I
yeah,
love that.
it is. It is. We seek love, and if we can't get love, then we try to find ways to get validation in replacement of that love. And
Right.
so that's what I'm feeling, is that we are being challenged to just go directly to source,
Yeah.
directly to God, and find that relationship, because the most important thing you can do is be sourced, so that you are not reliant on the energy of other people constantly to make you feel better. Just like you're not looking at your bank account and then measuring your worth by the dollars in your account. You know what I mean? It's the same thing, is that these demonic entities want us to feel like this rejection of us somehow defines us in some way as unworthy or not valuable or alone. We're just going to be alone, and we're going to end up, being totally discarded. And that's not true. But what's happening is that every person is being persecuted right now. So a lot of them are being fed thoughts about other people that aren't true. And instead of investigating those thoughts, are these my thoughts? Are they coming from me?
Right.
They're acting on the thought and blocking the person or turning on the person
Right.
without really calling that person up and saying, hey, I was having these thoughts. Are these true? Can we
Yes.
talk about this?
Yes.
No, like, tact. And it's like this dehumanization of each other. That's what it wants to do, is it wants to dehumanize us and wants us to dehumanize each other. So these are the trauma drama fields. They feed on the trauma of the rejection or the discard, right? Someone discards you, they dehumanize you, they reject you. And then it reverberates in your pain body. This signal of energy starts reverberating out. And then they come in and they kind of try to feed and pull themselves up on that energy. However, this is the antidote to that. My pain is sacred. My pain is God's pain. So what that means is you're owning your pain.
That's
So
the one.
if you don't, they can feed on it like a feeding
Right.
friend. But if you own it and you see it as sacred, it puts up this like shielding to them being able to power themselves up on your trauma.
Yes.
So that's psychic self-defense 101 right there.
I love it. But that's
Yeah.
exactly it. And that was where my breakthrough was, Emily, where I was just owning the pain of various times in my life. Doesn't matter what happened in the last 6 months or the last 3 years. And this cycle, this pattern, understanding the spiritual warfare, the occult, the black magics, the spiritual attacks, the psychic attacks, all these things, the words, and which are very relevant and have helped me in educating myself so that I can delve deeper into understanding, going in that inward journey. But the message to surmise really is own your shit, right? And I'm not saying that, own your shit, own everything ugly, everything amazing, every single wholesome part of yourself. Forgive yourself for times where, and I've had some very raw and open conversations and tell you about what I've been through, and owning it. But it was from a place of shame, guilt, and that programming was creeping in. And there are many people that do that. They try to forgive themselves from that shame and guilt projection and all of that. So are they really healing? No, you're saying the things, but is that energy systematically and inadvertently matching that energy? So, it's very easy to say things, post, and I love a quote, to say things and post things online, and you're feeling that in the moment, but it's what you're doing in silence behind the scenes, in your inward journey to own your shit. So I like that. Our pain is very sacred. And that was the shift, Emily, and I'm seeing that, which is where I'm seeing that, okay, I might seem all happy and all like, whoa, right now, but boy, have I been through some, what the hell happened there? Like, how was there just this the twist and turn so dramatic in this space of, I couldn't even blink. And I'm like, how have we got to June? And how has so much happened? And oh my God, I thought I'd gone through all this spiritual cleansing and done a lot of stuff, my trip to India, but it's progressive. And it's always our spiritual health is, and our in a healing journey is consistent and continuous.
Yes, absolutely. And I love what you said about that, because this is the truth. It's like forgiveness. I can like try to force myself to forgive somebody, right? Or I can authentically own my unforgiveness, and I can be in that resentment, and I can allow myself to experience what it feels like to be outside of being able to forgive somebody. And then I'll have this authentic journey where the forgiveness will reach me, and I'll
Yes,
actually embody forgiveness, but I don't want to do it in a fake way or because come on, it's so phony when people act like they're love and light and
I
they're beyond
know.
things. It's like, don't be so phony. However, there's a organic process to this. And I was gonna say, it's the same thing with yeah, this dark attack is like you're authentically going into the as above, so below realms, right?
Yes.
So you're going into the hell realm. You're facing your worst fear, which is I'm unlovable. God doesn't love me. Nothing's going to be okay. Like you're facing those core fears. And then you face the demon, and then you come up as above, so below. And then you've cleared that template, that reflection, that point of attraction, right? Because there are levels where there are mirrors in our field. Not everything is a mirror, right? We don't want to gaslight ourselves. There's a lot of gaslighting in the spiritual community where
Oh my
people try
God.
to gaslight people into being more ascended than they are, more loving than they are, more forgiving. And it's a bad thing to do. It's very bad for your spiritual immune
Yeah.
system. So, yeah, when you were talking to about the suicidal ideation that you were going through, that is very intense right now. That field of, I don't want to be here. I don't want to go through this. I don't want to feel this. That is so intense, but that's the exact energy that you have to process, because this is the truth, especially when like a spiritual relationship ends. They don't target us on that level unless we have a real divine union. They would never waste their time traumatizing us with somebody that might have been used in some way to hurt us, or it was some soul lesson, unless the real thing existed for us, because they don't waste time. right? Energy harvesting. They go to the ones that they know they can get the energy from. So yeah, it's these as above, so below fields right now. We're traversing the underworld in terms of mirrors, in terms of core fears and core wounding. And when we, like you said, own it, they cannot exploit it. When we don't and we're afraid, they will exploit our shadow constantly.
Yes.
And they will try to bring in scenarios, trauma, drama. They know we have a core wound around betrayal, for instance. They
Hmm.
will tag somebody to come in and run betrayal energy on us to feed on it. But we get smarter every single time. And then we finally see the red flags and we go, no, you're not coming in.
Yeah.
Sorry. Does that make sense? No,
No,
I'm
it
not going
does.
for that. I'm done with that template.
Yeah, I'm just done with trauma. I'm done with abandonment, done with rejection, and just,
Yeah.
every single wound that you can possibly think of. And we all have something. We're all healing from something. We're in a massive healing crisis at the moment in the collective consciousness, huge. And there is something that I've really honed into is the shame, the guilt, the judgment for self. I found some things with where my anger was concerned very difficult, so painful, where I thought I was going to collapse. When I say, Emily, that it was like I couldn't breathe, when I was really, no, you're going into that pain app. People,
Oh
and I would
my
be like, oh, I just can't. And that was the thing, that was the running theme, was I just don't want to be here. Can I just go up to customer service with God and just run out my contract, look it through the fine print? I don't know if I signed up for this. This is too difficult. But grace will always come. Always. And I say this just from my experience and reflecting through every situation and scenario. And I was speaking to a girlfriend today who is really struggling with her children that sit on the spectrum. And I was downloading a lot of information, as I'm getting chills as I'm speaking to her. And I could download things about her that she was just like, whoa, how did you know that? And I'm like, I don't know. How did I know that? Like, it just, things are coming out of my mind. And I'm like, so this comical music going around in the background. And I'm like, yeah, but it's about helping our brothers and sisters and humanity through these shifts. And I almost feel that I'm activated a little bit earlier, feeling these shifts.
Seriously.
Freudian slip, but it's true. Nothing is not real in this show. But I'm feeling them in every capacity. And then I'm a few weeks down the line, I'm hearing a lot of people saying something similar. So, and I know you get that. And this energy is potent and very, very harsh on individuals, but it's necessary. And that's where I came and started the show with that. We're in the most amazing times because this opportunity, we have never been in a situation like this where we have the opportunity. And you're right, if people are using these spiritual bypassing words and gaslighting, we can all gaslight ourselves because you don't know better and you're trying to find your feet in this energy and then you break down. So the shifts are huge, but they're necessary. And again, it's the eyes that we look at, the intention and the perception. So if we're going to go into gaslighting self, we're going to face that gaslighting that's going to be projected back to us. Okay. So it's having the honest conversations. What you said was that I'm going to go deep into like not being able to forgive that person. And then through the shifts and the movement and the energy, somehow you'll get to that point of forgiveness, but not at the time when you're forcing yourself because it's the right thing to do. And it's all love and light and it's kumbaya, and that.
It's so, the gaslighting too. Gaslighting in this spiritually is anywhere that you are denying your humanity, anywhere that you dehumanize yourself or you feel like you should be farther than you are emotionally or spiritually. It's kind of like the victimizer. You can't overcome victimhood until you own your victimhood,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's the truth. And so this gaslighting of the self, this dehumanizing of the self, and the desire to be more loving and the desire to not feel this core pain. 99% of ascension is processing emotions. A lot of people don't realize that. They think it's all this like fancy grid work and stuff. And yeah, but it's actually mostly you're processing energy. That's what ascension is, because we're processing. There's like this inverted architecture on this planet, and it's being crumbled. And then we're these human conduits that are processing these trapped energies, this trapped trauma that's stuck in the timelines and the Akashic records in the grids. So you have to master, in order to really have an okay time on ascension, you have to master processing emotions. That's actually the most important thing. If you can do that, then you will have an authentic experience with God and God's will in the ascension. And if you do that as well, you're going to be on your highest timeline, on your highest path. If you refuse to do that, or you gaslight yourself, or you stay stuck, you are going to suffer immensely. So my suggestion at this time is learn to digest your true emotions, even if they are extremely unpleasant, because the human condition is fallen. This is a fallen planet that's being rehabilitated.
Yeah.
So you are a part of that human condition. And the reason why is so that you can have empathy for others, because the truth is this, is that 1% of humanity is doing really good right now. 90% of humanity is struggling and suffering. If you make over $35,000 a year right now, you are doing better than like 90% of the world. Like, we are privileged to understand this ascension information, to be where we are, compared to a lot of people that are trapped in all sorts of programs and religions and suppressed and oppressed. So thank you, God, through this, we can learn to process our authentic emotions.
Absolutely. And this gaslighting, actually, I think if you could extend and give examples to our audience that may kind of be a bit confused at what does it look like when we individually gaslight ourselves. I'll start off with an example where you go into like a block within your system, like everything's just blocked. You're almost in this fight or flight numb state, and you accept things around you, be it from people or situations or even things that you're reading, whatever it is. You're gaslighting yourself to not show up in your authentic expression as the reaction to that situation. It's not so much that you're being all like, oh, love and light. It's this, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It's not love and light. Yeah, no, it's not love and light, but it's okay. It's all, I'm all right. I'm okay. That's gaslighting.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's such a powerful example, probably the most powerful one. What I would say as well is, like, say that you turn over a new leaf and you decide to have boundaries, right? You're like, okay, I'm gonna have boundaries this month.
Like me, I'm gonna be strong for once in my life.
Yeah, for once in my life, I'm gonna do it. And then you have the boundary, right? And then the response you get collapses you.
Yeah.
And then you question yourself, was I in the wrong? Should I have had that boundary?
Yes.
Oh, I shouldn't have done, maybe I should have just taken it. It would have been okay. That is another form of you fold. You're trying to turn over a new leaf, but you keep folding back into, oh no, I can't have this level of boundary or this power or this sense of self, because you're afraid that you'll lose people, or you're afraid that you won't get the same kind of love. So you'll gaslight yourself into, like you said, making things okay that aren't.
Yeah.
That's a huge, oh my God, tons. We all do that because, I don't know, we're loving.
Yeah.
We're loving people.
Empathic.
So we can't imagine when there's these unloving people that are in our reality, and we're trying to negotiate with them on some level, but sacrificing who we really are. Yeah, that's a form of gaslighting the self. That's really painful.
Oh my God. Yeah. And that's true. Like when I was practicing boundaries, or like, okay, put your money where your mouth is, Alpha, and test yourself out. You're strong. Yeah. Kissing your biceps. You're ready out to go. You're okay. And then something would happen where I'd have to speak up. And I'll give you one example, like with my brother. Okay. So from my sort of childhood, he's where I've got this complete contrasting energy. And there were situations where I had to, like, you know, really have my boundaries, but I was doing it ever so elegantly and just really gracefully. And inside I was like, my lip was quivering like this. I was like, I don't know. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm gonna have a negative experience with this. And there was this energy. You talk about this, the sacral chakra, that's where it was, the pain. And as I feel the pain out, but just feel it. And I crumbled, right? And I went into the bathroom and I started crying like a wailing mess, right? Because I was really hurt by this particular situation. And it was this like trauma drama situation. But then that was where I was experiencing the pain, and it was feeling it here. So I started tapping into it and calling upon the consciousness of the divine, the energies that I needed help. And I'm saying, I'm okay through this, and I'm okay. And I did something that shifted. Now, a weird experience happened. Something, it just felt like this. It just went, boom. And then I suddenly immediately felt calm. But that's the feel, felt, found. I had really had to go into the pain. I really had to shift.
Yeah.
You know, I sounded like a hyena. I'm just standing up for myself here right now. But I was petrified. And I get that, because you're right. We're good, well-meaning people. And I mean, it wasn't such a serious situation, but this is a cycle and a pattern I have with this energy.
Those are
So,
intense.
huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Those are intense.
And but it's traumatizing. So that's why those that are listening into this, you know, to this, is that whatever you're experiencing, however you feel in your life, where you feel you needed to level up. And I used to say things like, but how do I do it? You know, when I said, well, everyone's talking about the inner work, give me the manual. Where do I buy it from? Right.
I know. How do I do it? I know.
So, and it's important that they can understand that, you know, gaslighting self. And a lot of women do that. And I'm guilty as anything of doing it and not being authentic to myself in these moments, and then having the fear of being seen and just wanting to hide.
Yes. Oh my gosh. One of the big ones is that tension. When you hold a boundary, what happens is that you have to feel another person feel tension that you have a boundary. And a lot of people can't sit in that uncomfortable moment of when you snap at someone or you make a boundary or you know what I mean? And I'm not saying you should snap, but sometimes it happens. That person will get uncomfortable. And then that fear that you'll have will come up of, I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have that boundary or whatever it is. And that really comes from when we're children and we weren't allowed to fully build a sense of self. So we acted in a way that would get us approval from other people. And then we got, you know, told that we were good and nice. And, you know, when you really have built an authentic sense of self, you know what's yours and what belongs to you and what belongs to another person.
Yeah.
When that energy comes up, when that trigger happens, you can sit there and allow them to own their stuff and you can own yours. But when the boundaries are blurred, when we're super empathic, when we're out of that sense of self, we take on other people's emotions as if they are our responsibility.
Yeah.
And we have a very hard time, again, saying no or making that boundary or leaving that person, right? Or getting out of the situation because there's something in us that's like, if I just love them enough, if I just accept them enough, if I just say yes enough, something will change. That's hard medicine for the feminine collective, especially. That's a very hard medicine for us. So yeah.
Yeah. And in this psychological, spiritual communities, the experts on, say, the subject of narcissism, there's a lot of, and I respect all of them because again, like I said, I get nuggets of wisdom from everybody, and what resonates, and what doesn't, it doesn't even like get to a point where I feel I need to bash them and say, well, no, that's not right, or that. So I have a quite balanced view where I'm like, okay, that's helped me level up on something, but how am I going to apply the spiritual side to this? Because label politics, identity politics is rife in our world. We need an association, or by way of reference, which is what I prefer to say. But this labeling then just goes into the guilt programming, the shaming, and the judgment. And what I see amongst these communities, both spiritual and the psychological, and I say this with utmost respect, there's a lot of bypassing that goes on, and then inadvertent shaming, and that actually starts to create more of that programming within. So they're not tackling it from all the multidimensional levels, both at grassroots and in the esoteric realm. So that's where I'm like, there's something missing here, because everyone's a narcissist. Well, let's look within and see where our narcissistic tendencies can be. Because I can in this inner work, I've seen so many of mine, but it depends on our value system. Okay. And seeing where, in my view, where, okay, well, we say everything's a projection, mirrors and all of that. But when you're looking at things at these different levels from the spiritual plane and the psychological referencing, there is a lot of freedom where you can come out of this anger consciousness, the blaming, the shaming, and just looking at the responsibility of within your own soul, within your own journey, and seeing the role you've played, but again, not from that gaslighting plane, from the realistic plane. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Trying to compassionately witness yourself. You know, there's a lot of gaslighting around self-love. Self-love is a journey, and it's not a requirement for you to receive love. That is, again, demonic energies say you have to work for love. You have to do this, 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 and this, and then you're going to get love. God says, I love you unconditionally in your darkest moment right now. And our job is to learn to receive that love and look, like you said, at our own pathologies, looking at our own corruptions, our own shadow energies, and being able to identify, like you said, the pathological energies within us. And when you can do that, you can look at your own pathologies, your own, whether it's narcissism or it's being overly empathic, because empaths and narcissists are both energy harvesters. Like, that's what's weird, is a lot of people, they blame the narcissist and say they're harvesting energy, but the empath is reliant on the narcissist's approval. So they're also reliant on getting love from a person, putting that person on a pedestal above God. So it's not, both people are making each other an energy source. So yeah, looking at that energy signature of the pathologies, processing them, saying, okay, these are my blind spots. This is where I get triggered. These are my challenges. I know this is a really soft spot for me. And when someone says that to me, I get pissed off. Getting clear, but understanding that you are not going to, through ascension, ascend out of your humanity. What you're going to do is you're going to balance and bring equilibrium to the human condition and anchor more angelic light, compassion, and love for the self, so that you can then look out at the predator, at the narcissist, or at the person outside of you that has severe pathologies, and you can hold a profound level of compassionate witnessing, knowing that that soul is suffering more than you even, because they are so lost from that source-like connection that they feel the need to use other people as resources. That is very tragic. And it's not excusable in the sense of, oh, it's just okay. However, God's mercy is beyond our comprehension. That's the truth. God's mercy is beyond it. And if we think that people are just going to get away with all this evil, they are not going to. The Syrian councils are the divine justice councils. They are going to take inventory, and things are going to happen where everyone will account for what they do, period. Whether it's in this life or in another life, or they will rehabilitate back to source. Those are the options. So yeah, really looking at it that way, I think, is the most balanced perspective. But when you're in it with somebody, you're in with a narcissist, it can be confounding. It can be so painful. And that is why we have to understand when another person is not spiritually safe for us. You know, a part of love right? Let's think about love here. What would be the most loving thing we could do, right? To like a murderer. It would probably be to put that person in jail away from society, right? That's the most loving thing we could do. Love doesn't always look like giving, constant love and reassurance to somebody. There's many actions that can
Yeah.
be more loving than that. So that's kind of how I look at that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I really can feel that counsel here. I think they're sitting on the board here on my table right now
You're
because,
so connected to them. It's insane.
I just honestly, I'm just wanting to just reconfirm saying, are they here in my room right now? Because we're going to have a committee meeting shortly because there's a lot of things that we need to discuss right now about that divine justice. But look, it comes back. It all comes back to what you were saying about this persecution energy that goes from many lifetimes, which is being all recycled and coming up to be healed in this mass healing crisis that we're going through at the collective consciousness. So I get what you mean by all of that. And absolutely, I like the part where you're expressing about the two empath narcissists, and narcissists, I say by way of reference so that we can understand it in terms of its expression. I don't necessarily like all these identity politics within it, but I get it. So we are here embracing the two, and what you said about both harvests each other. So again, folks, that then just brings back our attention to the role and accountability of what we're doing in our own sort of navigating ourselves in the trajectory of this, in my case, slightly crazy and cuckoo journey. But, and I'm loving every part of it because the pain, even like it's about 3 months ago, Emily, you wouldn't have caught me speaking like this because it was like WTF moments every nanosecond, not second, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? And I was like hyperventilating and really feeling some crazy stuff. But I'm also purging, not for self, and I could feel for others. And when it started making sense about the absorption of energies, because it didn't know how to handle it or what was happening, because I was going through my own personal stuff, that I was feeling the collective energy. So coming back into your power, well, what does that mean? So much that I could say on this, and we all have our individual story, but the divine justice and divine order is at play. And that is something, folks, you must trust, whatever background, whatever faith, the divide and conquer programming just simply doesn't work. And the other day on a show, the person, if we want to use the label of being persecuted, about where Ari was used as a pawn, my business came to a halt because of it. And I finally started smiling. I was just like, I get it. I get it. And it's going to take time for it to rebuild. I get that. But I sent not from a place of all this love, this lie, and from a fake place of forgiveness. It just made sense to look at this individual. And it's a simple saying, meet people where you've met them, where they've met themselves. But it depends where you're in. And as we calibrate from this empath, narcissistic, we can just look at it in an equal, neutral plane. It starts having a different energy. I don't know if any of my waffle made sense there, but there's so many layers to it. But when the energy starts becoming lighter and you're seeing things not from a disassociated plane, but from feeling that pain, like you said, which is so important, folks. And I just love speaking to you. Emily sorry to just say something, but Emily has the most beautiful angelic voice, doesn't she? Like, there's this energy, this frequency. Honestly, you're right. That frequency hurts, which is all like healing. And that's where sometimes you go through experiences that will also come up and challenge you. Right?
Yes, absolutely. And with your business, okay, that's deep spiritual warfare because that's your survival and that's your medicine. That's your gift. That's your calling. That's God put that dream in your heart to serve children, to serve all people. Like that is profound. And of course, the devil's going to come against that. The devil's going to war on that like crazy, right? And trigger all those survival wounds in us.
That's
Am I going to
exactly what it
survive?
is. Yeah.
Am I going to survive? am I going to make it? Am I going to end up moving back in with my parents? Like, it's just an energy of, oh my God. So we're literally facing these core survival fears. And then God gets us through. And God has a plan. Like, I feel for Ari, God has a plan. And I feel like it's meant to spread massively, but I feel like God is protecting you. There's a protection field until it's safe to open. And I feel like these voices, these things coming against it, I just see them being completely taken down as you rise. They cannot, because it's a form of black magic, right? Evil
That's
words, speaking evil words over
exactly what happened.
somebody. It is, and you can feel it in your spirit.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, I can't handle this. This is so horrible. You know, I've had attacks on my business too, where it slows down for like a whole month ago. And I'm like, oh my God. And I have a child over here and I'm scared. And then I have months where God's just like, okay, here's a ton of business. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, and trying not to see my value based on any external thing. That's the main thing, is my value in source, my value in God. I know my heart's in the right place. I know your heart's in the right place. Most of our hearts are in the right place. And the ones that are doing the real work are the ones who have experienced these persecution fields more than ever the last few months. And that's why God is actually about to bless every single one of us and bring in I'm telling you, I can actually feel God's plan around this. So we are neutralizing the internal narcissistic empath pendulum swing, because that's what it is. And it's where all of us have been convinced that we need another's love to feel okay, which we all have needs, right? Needs are sacred. It's okay to have needs. But where we are reliant instead on the creator, on a flawed person to give us that. And they can't give us that. But we can meet others in a divine appointment with that love. And that is the point. Is like me and you, for instance, we would never persecute each other. We would never say an evil word against each other. We would lift each other up, and nothing could separate us. No demon could come in and tell me something about you that I would ever believe. You see what I'm saying? That's the kind of spiritual fortitude we all need to practice, is seeing each other clearly and not seeing each other through this demonic lens.
Right.
You know what
Well,
I'm
if you,
saying?
on that point, sweetheart, think about it on the way we met, and you know, the energy where we met, and the recommendation, and that particular energy ended up thinking all sorts about me, and you didn't even really know me. And this is what I mean, that we call it kachikan in Hindi. It means crispy ears, yeah, where people, and and crispy ears, if I was to translate it. And there was this is what I mean, like this thing that was happening regularly, where out of nowhere somebody would just ghost or say something crazy, or there would be this unexplainable murky energy, and it's like, what the hell did I do? In fact, I've actually done nothing but praise or whatever this person, that person, and I've experienced many things like this, and you understand totally. And when you had uh the insight, both spiritually and your energetic expression and your intuition, to be able to gauge a situation where you're not going to be influenced by this mind virus, which many call Wetiko, or there's the black magic, or the jinns, or whatever it is, whichever culture has these references. Again, this is the unseen war, which Brahmits, as we say in Sanskrit, corrupts the mind, even the one that thinks they're an empath, even the one that they think that they're on the path to ascension. So let's take, for example, what's going on with the war in Palestine, just a very small reference with that, and how much anger there is in the collective plane about that. Rightfully, I understand the pain, the trauma, the persecution, and the sort of recycling of many, many, many generations of what's coming up in its karmic retribution right now. I get it at that plane. But you've got people who are awake towards the vaccine. Ooh, yeah, you know, and people who are awake. Sorry, this is going to be on YouTube, but hopefully they won't take me down for that. And people are awake about so many things. But then if someone is not even commenting, you become scum of the earth if you're not commenting about that particular subject.
All that. I saw people going on witch hunts against other people for not even talking about the war, right?
Yeah.
That is taking it way too far.
You're scum of this earth and all of this kind of stuff
Oh
that's
my
going on. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't been, subjected to that. I've just witnessed it, observe it, goes in one ear, out the other, because I don't want to tap into or plug into any of that energy. But I am keeping my eye on, just from an energetic realm, to get what's going on. And it's important. But you do what you do, and you do what's important. But I've witnessed that, and many people like, geez, this is crazy.
That's taking it way too far. Like, obviously, we all know that genocide is it's a crime against humanity. You know, as you said, we all know that there's a level of evil playing out that's unprecedented on this planet, and there are reasons why it's happening. There are end goals around, them wanting to get that land of Palestine for Israel's own agenda and their own antichrist and their own, ideas. But attacking people and witch hunting people who aren't speaking about it, you don't know their private thoughts and feelings with the creator. You don't know how they feel about that or what they're doing behind the scenes. Not everybody rants and raves on social media all day about the injustices of the world. Obviously we should all speak about it in if we feel called and to the best of our ability, speak about injustices and help to bring, the justice through our own, the conduit of our own source energy. However, no one person is responsible or can stop this thing. So, even if millions of us, there are things that are going to play out no matter what. And this is what this is the spiritual maturity that we all have to have. Attacking and witch hunting people is the demonic spirit, period. It doesn't matter if it's for a good cause. That is out of control. And God doesn't want us condemning each other. God does not want that. And so there are so many agendas and so many forces, and all of these agendas using people for their own timeline creation, pulling all that energy to create their own timeline. So let's not fall victim to that. Let's be spiritually mature. Let's see God in every person, but let's also see, the corruptions in people as well. And let's allow everybody a chance on their own ascension journey without being canceled and targeted and attacked. This is getting out of hand. And anyone that's playing in those types of fields, the karmic energy is quickening. It is quickening. So if you're going to play in those fields of condemnation, expect it to come back at you tenfold in this time. If we rise above these trauma drama fields and we can look at, okay, that is a crime against humanity. I don't consent. I stand against that. Great. We are not going to be in those fields of energy. So we have to be very clear about where we put our energy and attention and what we give our energy to these days, because things are quickening. Like you said, it's already June. Things are heating up,
Absolutely. And I love that spiritual maturity, folks, because witnessing and observing, as I always say, the shit show that we have in the 6 months pertinent to, let's say, what, I inadvertently was dragged through, but I kept a very necessary distance, was the whole Phil Godlowski thing. And in fact, somebody messaged me, and I correct myself there with this whole war on Palestine. I actually had a friend for 18 years or so message me on Instagram and call me all sorts, because I hadn't been posting. It actually happened to be around the time when I was going through all this stuff. So I was very absent on social media. And this is when all this stuff was exploding at the beginning of, I think, February. And so I wasn't really posting much. It was very haphazard posting. So then instantaneously, oh yeah, you can post about Trump and think all about all this shot agenda, but you can't post anything on the war on Palestine, and you're just disgusting, and I'm ashamed that I was your friend. It actually just came to me now, and I literally and I said, you have no idea exactly what you said. You have no idea what I'm doing. And the conversation was so, it actually, when I think about it, it was intense. I can't believe I forgot that. And so I'm just focusing on my own lane with my business, right? And then, and
so well.
Right. And no, but I was just actually focusing on Ari as well. And I said, oh, I've been keeping out.
I thought you meant it was, oh my God, still like.
No, and it was during all that time, but I was trying to focus on Ari, keeping Ari afloat and doing what I had to do. And it immediately was like, well, I'm doing this for autistic children around the world with my corporate companies and private equity funds and all of that. You're just an embarrassment, Alpa. I can't believe the Alpa that I loved. You know, all I said, and I don't regret one part, I just said, fuck you, excuse my language here. And I blocked, not even angry. So that's when I'm like, you have, like exactly what you said, you have no idea what a person's mindset is. So as you see this happening, and that had to happen, Emily, for me to get how nuts this is, just experience a little bit of salt and pepper for me to actually get the inescape of the psychological and spiritual warfare that is going on with these demonic spirits that are working through people, and truly staying like, I just seeing it as it is, because it's going to play its part. Because as you said, bringing back to the karmic retribution and the divine justice, because the energy is very potent on those subjects right now. So people are on this movement with calling out all the truthers, especially what I used to be plugged in. I remember, folks, I'm not doing shows that much, and if any of the shows that I was doing is pertinent to Ari, so, and or conversations like this with Emily on the spiritual scape, so it is potent out. Then it's necessary for people to understand this and how to get themselves out of it if they are not in the awareness. Because the purpose of this to talk about these things is that if you find yourself getting sucked in, it's Lucian, it's getting sucked into these energies. Is Flynn a good guy? Is he a bad guy? White hat, black hat, sensationalism, crazy stuff, calling out every single truther. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. I get it at that spiritual realm. I mean, I can just see like you're like, this is nuts, but it is.
Divide and conquer. And it's the weirdest part is people calling other people out for not being compassionate whilst they're attacking them. It's like it's such a mind fuck. It's, sorry to say that word.
Yeah,
It's
no, it's
so
fine.
inverted. It's so inverted, the energy. And like you said, the Flynn thing and the white hat, black hat, it's these, I call them consciousness traps. It's like, here's God, and here's the Christ frequency, the God frequency, right, coming to earth. And then here is like Metatron, right, the false light entity sending his frequency. And then here's like the Antichrist sending his frequency. And then people just become susceptible to frequencies. It's not God's will. It's not God's truth. God is stable. God is a gentleman. God is a gentleman, and not the sensational, oh my God, right now, this thing, holy shit. That's not God. God is stable, gentlemanly, will correct you with love, right? So if a person isn't exercising a spirit of spiritual maturity, love, wisdom, and they are attacking a person or projecting onto a person, what is running that person? Another entity up here. That person is susceptible to that agenda. So they're pawns in a game. That's how I look at it. We have to go beyond and be able to read that consciousness trap, right? A big consciousness trap, like you said, is people warring over flat earth, or warring over whether or not we should be vegan, or warring over, it's like these like trauma drama cycles of energy. And then they feel it gives them a right to attack anybody that doesn't see it the way that they do. It's a mess. It's kind of a mess. And Aleo, you know, my boyfriend, he always says, we're not organized. We're not all on the same page. They divide and conquer the shit out of us, and we're all arguing with each other. Yeah. And we're all warring with each other. So I would love to offer people to go beyond those fields and to look at people with compassionate witnessing, and to know that everything will be accounted for. You're not the judge and jury. God is. Yeah. You're not in charge. The creator is. Why are you trying to play God's role? Stop doing that. It's irreverent to God. Yeah. That's how I feel about it.
But that's perfectly put. There is no right or wrong about that. That just makes so much sense. It's common sense. Without any of the what people go, you're just woo-woo, Alpa. And it's just, it's actual humility and a level of decorum of how we should be respecting each other. You can have a difference with someone, and conflict is necessary in life. We all have conflict. That we can't be in that one-sided way where we're all going to agree. That's just tell me a time in humanity when that's happened, and just take me there into that timeline, please. Right? Again, everyone wants that kumbaya, let's just be on that one page, but they're not understanding the common sense of it. Just the fact that we've never been at a time like that in humanity, that level of consciousness. But if we can actually get past this divide conquer thing, which you witnessed with that Mr. Atom Bomb, I call him Mr. Truth Bomb, that was using me as the pawn because he wanted Nick to take something off his website, and
That
then
was psychotic.
that psychotic, and he's going psychotic at other people. Literally, if they don't agree with anything I'm saying, I mean, I don't know how that came on my feed because I'm not even following him. I'm saying, Twitter, what are you doing? Right?
Me either. I wasn't following that guy, and it showed up, and I go, "This is unhinged."
This is unhinged, and I'm still seeing some. I don't know. So I don't go on there that much, or X. Keep calling it Twitter. See that's how dated I am with the whole thing.
I do it all.
I know, but it's very relevant in a sense to just use by way of example to get this mind virus and how they're attacking people through these narratives. And it was a psyop from the start. I remember when I did one of my second or third shows, said the collective is going to have to be very careful of the egocentric warfare that I can see happening in all of this, because the quest for truth brings this hero complex, and this hero complex brings in this feeling of relevance. And of course, we're all relevant, and the other side as well. Like talking about me and what's going on and using me as a pawn for something, for example, is not relevant. It's just not relevant.
That was so cringy, honestly.
I know.
In my spirit, and I felt this thing of like, that's not a masculine, stable person. That's a person who's like, literally there's some type of entity working through them. And those posts he was making they just didn't make sense. They weren't grounded in reality. They weren't grounded in facts at all. It was like it was like some type of weird vengeance of hurting you to get to Nick.
That happened with
so creepy.
And that happened with the Phil thing as well. Like there was the Phil camp and the anti-Phil camp, and those that were leading both was just looking at all of their behaviors. And I've had conversations with people who are so obsessed with bringing Phil down. I said, you lot, you're thriving on sensationalism. Where is this serving you? And then Alpa's just stayed out of the whole thing, rightfully so. Does not serve my purpose or my path in life to bring someone down in the most demonic way that was possible, or the other way around. And that was a massive eye-opener. So you see, now I've come out of oh my God, what the hell is happening? And I was like that.
Yeah.
I was like, if I was to describe myself physically of what my emotions felt like, I just felt like this, it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh
and I was just like, what the hell is going on here? And I was like, oh my God, mommy. And it was, but I can laugh at it now because I'm so
now it's like,
but for those few weeks or whatever, and then I had to work and process and go through it and understand, okay, what is this telling me? What am I dealing with here? Replayed, reenacted in a different way. And I got to the root of so many things. So neutralize the charge that it had on me and come back. And I think looking at it just from the comical point, not disrespectful to anyone, but it is what it is. We've forgotten how to laugh. Right. Everyone, please laugh at me. It's fine. I've been a laughing stock on so many levels, and just do it right now. Do you know what I mean? I'm owning it all. It was like, it was a very necessary journey, Emily, but that was unhinged, and people are experiencing that, witnessing that on what they're doing. So what is that going to do? Subsequently is exacerbate fear of being seen, fear of talking, and just hitting the throat chakra. Right? Oh, I don't know if I can talk now, and it's just minimizing me. And if I do say something, afraid I've been there, totally been there, afraid to speak up.
That's it. That's the exact point and purpose, is to bully people into silence and bully them into submission. And it's so painful when I know when you were going through that, I've been through something similar. the initial reaction, yeah, is you're afraid to get on because you're afraid, oh no, everything I say they're going to use against me or persecute me or find something wrong with me, or like you said, just anything, you know, and it's so scary. But then you neutralize the charge of that energy and you realize how pitiful and pathetic it is when you have the spirit of God moving through you. It's not going to be silenced and no one can bully it. And we have this core timeline trauma around being silenced. Obviously, when you go back to the Grail lines of Sophia, Princess Diana was killed, Joan of Arc was killed, the Cathars were killed. You know, you look at all these women that were holding that Christed truth, that Sophianic truth, and they were killed. And we have that trauma in us of being persecuted, being killed even. Everything is different now. We won't be. God will not allow us to be. God will not allow anything to be taken from us any longer for speaking the truth. We've done enough work to where, like you said, when that charge is neutralized, that demonic voice, not only does it not stop us, but actually we just want to speak more. We just want to speak more truth. We just want to offer our business more. We just want to expand more. It actually puts a fire in our energy that says, okay, now I'm really going to do this. You know what I mean? So that is where we all need to get, because these dissenting voices actually don't have the power they appear to have. They appear really scary, but they don't. They don't, because think about it this way. Somebody on that frequency is only going to pull people out of your life that were not your real friends to begin with, right? If some psycho can come in and make a rant about you and you lose somebody because of it, that person is not your friend and they did you a massive favor. So it's actually a good way to clean out your life when somebody attacks you. It's a really good way to see who stands with you. And then it'll open new spaces for new clients, new listeners, new friends and connections. And that's what's going on here. Yeah, that's how I see it.
But that's perfectly put. And that's actually what's going on with the communities that share their experiences. And this is the running theme. So relationships that no longer serve and are in match with the frequency that we're at, they're getting instantaneously taken away, especially post the solar, the eclipse in April. There were rapid changes and energetic shifts that the collective was feeling. Nobody, not one person escaped. Even people who don't get these kind of conversations were expressing energetic shifts. So something weird's going on, and they are doing a lot of things. I mean, that it's deep, and we can go down many rabbit holes about what's going on multidimensionally, spiritually, geopolitically. I mean, it's so vast. But the main thing is staying centered and calibrated in self, serving your highest potential from that space of divine love for yourself, knowing that God resides within, and that God will be kind to you and is always. And God is always supporting you, always. Every breath of yours, God is supporting you. And no matter how bad something looks, there is, you know, as I say, there's a silver lining in the crisis, but it's having the appetite to have that self-awareness for self, the appetite to want to grow spiritually, the appetite to look at the ugliness of within yourself and say, right, okay, without the shame, blame, guilt, horrible self-deprecating energy that we can give ourselves, and looking at the role we play, and also having the strength to say, no, enough, no. I don't need to act and behave in a way that doesn't serve me from a place of decorum. But yeah, we've all had our moments where we've been pushed to the edge. None of us are perfect. We've done things that, you know, where I'm 50 shades of, I'm like, I could write about my 75 billion shades of psycho, like just, you know, inner psychoness. I get it. I get where we all come from, but it's really embracing that. So where we are, Emily, we've gone on longer than an hour, and I think we could go on for another 7 more. I know you have things to do on your Sunday, and I'd like to do a part 2 to this because I want to go deeper into the spiritual realms, which is where more things that could educate me and giving me the work that giving me more insights and our viewers insights on the work that you do, which will help them if they can speak to about what you teach in the second half of this, if you'd be happy to come on again.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to come on again and do like a live session with you and talk about these things and go deeper. Like you said, there's so much to talk about. This was really powerful conversation though. Everything felt really relevant to what's going
Absolutely.
on now. And next time we'll go even deeper. So yeah.
Yeah, I was actually, so when we do a live, I want it to go live on Facebook. I know you've got a community there. I put something up for my like cheekiness about Hunter Biden, and they blocked me. They banned me from doing anything. So again, I was getting my Facebook back into the like, you know, good books, but then I just go and do this cheeky, but I can't help myself, right? I still do it. And
I know.
and you can see it, like, you know, I'm there on the one, but I'm owning that. I'm like wanting to sort of say, I want to post that, right? And, you know, so I got banned, but I want to do this live on Facebook. I think I should be out in a couple of weeks, but I think, I mean, even if we don't get to go live, I'll actually put on the show and post it on Facebook afterwards from the live. Or if we could plug into your Facebook and go live, but we'll be live on Rumble as well. So I'd like there to be an interactive one where the audience can ask you. We can have more of a build up to it, because I'm sure with the way you've graced the Love in Action show with your wisdom, with your light and your honesty and authenticity, it's what I'm about. Like, I just want to learn. I want to grow. And through the stumbling times, you know, pick myself up again, and then I'll be like phoning you on, Emily, I've lost the will again. What happened?
You feel amazing today though. Like there's something that's like off of you that was taking something. Like, I don't know, your own, like that blue, that indigo, it's something like, whoa, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, honestly, like, I feel like it's just the beginning of what you're going to do. Like, right now is the start. It's actually the real beginning. That's how I feel about whatever this plan is God has. So, let's do it. We'll do Facebook, we'll do it interactive. You know, the people in my community can come on. They're really excited, you know, to learn more. So, yes, I would love to.
Yeah, and this was powerful, Emily, and I feel it, you know. A lot of times we can gaslight ourselves, as we've said many times. And once you feel the pain, folks, the sacral and the solar plex as well. I wanted just to sort of mention that maybe we can extend now on our next show about like the blockages that we have in our chakras, and the sacral and the solar plex and the root, of course, have been really homed into, and there's all sorts of stuff so you can explain to the audience of what that actually means. How is that showing up in our lives? I'd love to sort of dig deeper into that. But for now, folks, Emily's a wonderful, not only friend, but just a real wise individual, and we're blessed to have her on this planet doing her bit to really help humanity in whatever way that she is doing. She doesn't fall short of her own, you know, trials and tribulations like none of us do. So there's no such thing as that is an imperfected perfection going on out there, or the other way around. And it's just embracing and understanding that we can love ourselves without the necessity to lean to anybody apart from, you know your truth, shine your light, and finding your own way, the Love in Action slogan. And Emily, just before you go, thank you very much. And if you just want to leave a few wise words for my lovely audience, maybe the 3 that are watching right now because of the blockages, but it will move back again. I can feel that shift.
Gonna move. Oh my gosh, it's gonna move. Like, that's the thing is this year, the rest of the year, we're gonna go through an expansion, me and you. I feel that like I've also been capped on Facebook. Like I can't expand because I'm like capped in there because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to go out anywhere else, but I'm going to. So, okay. This is a harder time. That's what I feel. I do feel though that the clouds are clearing a little bit and we go up and then we go down. You have to look at it this way. It's like it's kind of like the darkness that's been hidden for thousands of years is coming up to be seen. That's what's happening. and your life is valuable to God. You have a contract to be here. You're going to be here as long as God wants you to be here. You're not getting out of it. Um, so embrace the journey because, life is beautiful. It really is. Life is beautiful as hard as it is, it's worth it. And remembering all the innocent souls, you're here for them. You're here to help humanity overcome. A lot of humans have been trapped here in the reincarnation nets. We haven't. Angelics and starseeds have not been trapped here. So we are here to help liberate the human condition, the fallen human condition, so that they can move on and they can move forward. So remembering why you're here, what your priorities are, get your priorities clear. Is it the trauma drama over here? Is it arguing about that? Is it gaslighting and witch hunting? And, is it all of that? Or is it being a conduit and a portal for God's will, bringing your medicine and enjoying life, getting into your divine union, getting into clarity on, what's in your heart, what God put into your heart. God wants to manifest that with you and for you right now. So get clear on your priorities. Know that it's a harder time. So if you're struggling financially, if you're struggling in general, God's going to get you through this. You might just have enough to get through, just enough for every single month, but you're going to get through. Don't believe everything you see on social media. Social media is a lot of smoke and mirrors, right? Don't compare yourself. You see other people, they seem like they're thriving. Our time will come, but we're not selling our souls. That's why it's taking us longer to get to where we're going, because we're not willing to sell our souls and make all these compromises. If you're that person that's not compromising, then yeah, know that there is going to be, that divine justice and that outcome. So that's what I would say, get your priorities
Beautiful.
clear. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And
Yeah.
also, just I know I said I could talk forever, but just one more thing is that
Sure.
those that have reveled in those kind of behaviors, this is no judgment to you. And if you're listening to this and this has helped you, please don't feel that there is any attack or anything at you, because I get sometimes we get so driven by justice and to, for truth, freedom, and help and call. I get all of that. I've been there. So
Me
it's
too.
not this hypocritical kind of stance where I'm like shaming, naming, blaming. Look at these way these people. I come to you from love and not that flaky blah, 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 blah place, but it's just from saying, look, that anger, it you need to get to the root of what that is really. So just so that people who have been reveling in that and think, oh God, right, that's it, I'm in the spiritual bad house, not
Oh,
no. If
no.
if you're getting an awareness and you're getting some kind of initiation here and you're getting some kind of impetus to say, like, this is making me feel horrible, or this isn't serving me, or I am going to stay and stick into it. Good. Stay wherever you need to stay, wherever it serves you, but just truly get what is really the driving true impetus for you to do this. So
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, compassionate witnessing, understanding, and yeah, just offering, extending that invitation for balance, equilibrium, and
Yeah.
love. Yeah.
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 And so just a little side note on Ari before I sign off. There are some promotions. I had them on the website for the whole of June, and I'll probably extend it for July. I really want to make one dream, and I'm saying this true, is set up the nonprofit side to Ari, where I can actually be able to gift people who are struggling, and I'm doing that at the moment, not for any brownie points, but there's one lady in particular who can't afford it. I don't care. I want to give this to her because she had the while she was pregnant, and then while she was breastfeeding, she also had them, and it had horrific effects on her newborn child, and now the age of like 3, there's all sorts of things going on. I say this again, I'd extend for 3 people. If you want to write to me at support@aribrand.com, if you know someone that's really be authentic, is struggling with hardship financially, I'd like to gift them the Ari, because this particular lady, it's not only been an easy journey, even for me. I've just cried so many times with what she's going through, and respecting her privacy. It's been horrific, Emily. So if you know anyone that simply could come and benefit from Ari, that's struggling, that can't pay, I don't mind gifting. Of course, I know that there's people that, well, I want one for free, and then, you know, I'll be able to vet that out, you know, in my own entirety. So it's discounts going on. There's some amazing things that are happening with Ari organically through all the shit show that I've had to face. I'm building from scratch again, right from rock bottom, because of this stuff going. So yeah, if you know anyone, let me know. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Emily, and we'll see you again very soon. Lots of love.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.